Hey everybody, Mature Simmer here. So, I am back. Gonna get my fabric loaded on. So, it is officially the end of FS25 launch day. Watched a lot of videos, a lot probably being 3 or 4, and talked with some of the folks that, we've got a Discord server that we connect on, some of the FMs that were on the other server, and my interest level has not changed. I just don't see the point of FS25. So I am going to stick with the FS22 until I guess I decide I'm not sticking with it because there's nothing else to do. And we'll see if and when the interest grows. I'm probably going to go ahead, kind of resurrect the mods worth noting, because I assume we're going to start seeing some mods. And that will give me the ability to see what's being released and so forth, and when something comes out, and more importantly, if something interesting comes out. But in the interim, I'll keep things going on this farm because FOC is not doing anything to take these down yet. They said basically once interest starts to wane, eventually, like they'll finally say, all right, that's it. But for now, it's, as they said, it's in the foreseeable future because they're anticipating quite a wait to before there's really viable FS25 servers anyway. So, those of us that are playing on FS25 will, but like the folks I used to play with, like they've already done what's called prestiging, which I don't know the nuances of that, but basically it's in essence kind of cashing out, and then what FOC is having folks do is you're basically in FS22 or you're in FS25. You can't do both. So that is a difference, I think. Because I think in FSN I was able to do FS19 and FS22 if I wanted. I don't think I did. But I can see some of why they would do that, because... so I'm going to wait till... well, maybe I'll wait till tomorrow. I'm not sure. What I likely will do, however, is I'm going to probably skip another year. And the reason I'm doing that is, again, Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming out in a week. And I anticipate that being pretty time-consuming for me. Let me just take a look at what the sales cost is here, because this may just be a really short... it'll be worth probably another 100. I don't know. It probably didn't hurt to wait, because I'm not going to do much, but then I'll just throw this short, or whatever it turns into, because I may go on and babble for a bit, as I want to do, but I'm just anticipating I'm going to get sucked into Flight Simulator 24 and just love that, and so I may let this sit for a bit. There's nothing that really requires that I do it. I mean, I'm going to try to avoid losing money. So yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm still half full, and then what that turns into is at least I make a little bit of profit, and I'm not dumping money out the window. But, so I'll keep the greenhouses going, but that'll kind of be it. So, I guess let me explain the logic a little bit. So, I did finally get a little bit of reaction, but it was not kind of what I expected. So, if anybody's been watching the Microsoft Farming Simulator or the FOC videos that I have put out, I think the last 3 or 4 years, 3 or 4 episodes, which would have been the last 3 or 4 years, which would have been the last 2 months probably. I've been including somewhere in there all the time, and certainly at the end, like, if you're watching these and you're enjoying them and you know, this is a main thing for you on the channel, let me know. I've literally had no one respond to that. So I'm assuming I have no regular viewers on my farming simulator content. So that's not what's keeping people subscribed to the channel at this point. Or if it is, it's not the only thing, because nobody's said a thing. Obviously, I haven't put out Hills of Tuscany in more than 6 months, just because I haven't been able to pull something together, you know. And maybe I'm still debating if I, like, maybe just make that my playtime and just kind of, I don't know, just leave FOC until I determine what I'm gonna do with it. And just keep the water going, because then I just have to come in here like once every 15 days and fill water up, and then at least I'm not losing money, and that, you know, but, and then in theory I'm somewhat active, but I'm not doing anything beyond keeping greenhouses going, because there's certainly no requirement that I have to plow fields or whatever. I just have to sign on and do something. But I'm just really not sure. But so I didn't get any of those comments, but I have had like 4 or 5 comments on the last video I put in, which, you know, did have a little bit of the clickbaity title of Giants, you blew it on FS25, because that's really all I talked about most of that year, was like, I'm just like, we're coming up on release, I've been watching stuff, I've been watching early gameplay, and it's just not grabbing me. And it hasn't changed with people coming out. And there's been some videos of like, is it worth it, whatever. You know, people are saying, yeah, it is, but the reason they're giving are reasons I don't care about. It looks nicer. It, you know, that's basically it. Like, there's no gameplay change. And there's some, you know, there's one video I watched today where they said the contracts, in their opinion, got worse. So, you know, that model, like, they went backwards on something. And, you know, maybe the GPS is a little bit better, but even looking at it, like talking with one of the guys that was doing it, I was asking some questions because he was still manually driving, but with the GPS, he's like, yeah, you now can't, like, not have a headland on the field, which he doesn't really like all the time. And so you're then kind of forced to do a headland because that's what the GPS creates for you, because there's no line that goes to the edge of the field anymore. So I would almost say that is a step back, because for like fields like this that are rectangular, that I don't have trees against and whatever, I don't need a headland for that. Like, I'll just run off the end and turn around, and that's how I've run these fields for years. And now FS25 doesn't let me do that. And again, if Wopster puts out their you know, enhanced drive or whatever the heck it's called, I don't even remember what it's called, but their GPS tool, guidance steering, I think is what they call it, if that comes back, you know, then maybe we'll have the stuff without the headlands. But once again, I'm waiting for mods. So I did go look at the mods page. I've got it up on another screen, and right now, yes, there are some modders that have put out some basic stuff. Like, there was the government subsidy thing, which basically you put a sign on, and I think it brings in like free money every day and some like insane amount or something. I forget what it is. Let me take a quick look. So yeah, they've got 2 tiers of contracts per subsidy. Municipal subsidy per year, 48,000, 480,000. So you're basically getting, you know, whatever it is, $4,000 or 40,000 a day. And then you can do government subsidy options, which I assume is like some federal subsidy, and that's 4.8 million in a year to 48 million in a year. So you're getting, you know, $4 million a year or $400,000, or I'm sorry, a month. So, you know, and again, it's probably a simple mod. You know, it's released on, it was released on 11.5, which was a week before, so I'm sure, they had access to the game early and said, okay, we'll do it. So there's a couple pieces of equipment and whatever, but, I'd be looking for maps. I'd be looking for, theoretically, course play, because I still haven't really seen much with the AI workers that it works the way the course play does, as far as like combining things with unloading and all of that, which is always a nice feature to have. And honestly, more importantly, I want the VIP order manager again. Like, I love that in Farming Simulator 22. So when I do single player, as far as purpose to play and purpose to do, it would be really tough to play without that and just go back to, all right, I'm going to do corn, and because, not for any reason. I don't know if the guy who did VIP Order Manager is going to do it. So again, that's where doing like mods worth noting and all that is going to come out. But yes, so I've had like 4 comments on the other video where basically people agreed and said, yep, I've looked at it. I think it's FS22 again. A couple people had gotten it and they're like, yeah, I've played it. And honestly, I've already gotten bored of it, like other than the ground deformation, which was interesting the first time. They're like, I've already basically started to forget about it, and I could care less that there's ground deformation. So that's the point. They like spend all this time doing that kind of stuff that, as I figured, and I knew it would be for me, like, okay, it's interesting for a little bit, just like fog in the morning and fog that burns off. Like, it'll be cool the first couple times I see it, and then it's just background, because it's got nothing to do with the gameplay. And even if the ground deformation does, because, yeah, I think it, like, squishes plants down or this or that and probably lowers your yield. Like, it's just complexity that theoretically I would try to avoid, because it'd be like, okay, I'll get some tractor with thin tires that hopefully doesn't do that. But that's the issue I had with it when they introduced it, is like, I think that's the whole point. Like, there's equipment out there for farmers that they're not ruining their field every time they touch it with their equipment. Like, there's ways to farm where you're not doing that. So I would just do that. And so to me, they're stupid gimmicky things, just like the tornadoes. I'd rather the developers spend time figuring out how to develop something that we can stop restarting these damn mods over again. Then I'd be right on board, and I would be with the franchise, and I would go. But at this point, that is really kind of the nail in the coffin for me. Like, I don't like that model, and it's driving me nuts when I have a clear alternative that's been presented to me. I mean, before I was like hypothetically talking about it with things like American Truck Simulator or iRacing or stuff, where they're not really updating their engine, and my argument was somewhat more viewed, rightly, because that was in essence what is happening there. Like, it's not like American Truck Simulator's replacing their game or anything. So, we don't lose anything because the game's just going forever. But my point there was more like, Farming Simulator, you look good enough already. Just keep giving us updates and feature updates and stuff, but stop putting out a new game. But now I've got an example with Microsoft Flight Simulator where they're putting out a new game, but they didn't break mod support. Like, I was talking to some of the guys, and again, there's some disagreement where they're like, ooh, the complex systems are going to have to, the planes, like a PMDG plane, are going to have to be tweaked. Maybe. But I've literally seen no developer that hasn't said, yeah, our 2020 stuff works. We might come out with a 2024 version that takes advantage of the new items introduced, but like, if you don't want that, the 2020 thing works right now on day one, or we expect it to, because now Microsoft a week before has released the SDK to everybody, and so people started publishing press releases saying, yep, we tried our stuff, it works, There's nothing you need to do. It'll work great. That's pretty much all I've seen. Now, the argument from one of the folks was, well, that's because they're simple things or this, that, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. But either way, even if they are, like, it's a vast difference to some degree, if they've got to tweak it. I mean, I guess I can't really say that because it would be similar, just like this government subsidy. Clearly, it was a quick tweak because they were able to do it and put it out there. But it's a sign that shows up on your farm and gives you free money. So, I mean, it's probably a very simple mod, and it was just, might have just had to be recompiled. But the issue becomes, like, if Realismus Modding, who's the author of this government subsidy thing, had moved on from Farming Simulator and said, screw it, I'm not here anymore, that mod would have vanished from existence for everybody. And that's what happens every time we change. There are some modders that have moved on and no longer play Farming Simulator, and therefore they're not going to update their mod. So that's the bad taste in my mouth. So I'm just being honest with folks. But I may be winding down on Farming Simulator because and it's a bit unfortunate because that was my concern to some degree when I got into Flight Simulator, and kind of why I had avoided it. I'm like, well, I'm enjoying this, and that's just more complicated. But I looking back now, I mean, I love what I get to do in Flight Simulator. It's just so engaging and so constantly challenging. Even though it's repetitive, but you're always having to land. It's always a little bit different. Even if you're landing at the same airport, you might be coming in a little bit differently, this, that, or whatever. Like I'm always excited to jump in and fly somewhere. And at this point, I've kind of lost a lot of that interest in the farming thing, and starting over with FS25, like, I have no interest. So if I ever do go to it, it's not going to be, I think, before the mods show up. I mean, if I suddenly had like a bunch of people who are like, come play, and there was something compelling, but I've been on the multiplayer servers, and I also realized, like, there isn't a whole lot of multiplayer that tends to happen. Like, you're all on the server together, but you're still working your own farm in most cases, is what is the issue in most of these, unless there's some forced interaction, which is, I think, what FSN has been basically trying to do with their next gen, which is what they're calling their FS25 stuff, where they've kind of revamped everything, and they're basically, again, requiring a ton of manual interaction with people, which means you're just waiting for people, which is not, that's not fun either. I like the automation that FOC has. So what I don't want to do is let this money trickle away and then suddenly change my mind later. So what I'm likely going to do then is jump in and just keep the water going, but basically until I change my mind and decide I want to start planting again. And that will really be dependent on how immersed I get in what FS Farming Simulator 2024 gives. Because I will say, like, I'm saying Farming Simulator, sorry, it's just they're both FS. Flight Simulator 2024. Because, like, I just flew a flight in my VFR series with Say Intentions, and working with the Say Intentions folks, they basically work through a problem that was existing on the tour guide, and they've solved it. And so, like, I am so excited to fly all 222 remaining legs of that. Which, again, doing that, even if I did like one a week, that'd keep me busy for 4 or 5 years. Plus all the other flying I would do. I mean, so like I said, there's like a never-ending plethora of things for me to do there. And it all relies on the fact that just because a new thing is coming out, I can just keep using all my old stuff. The plane's not going to stop working. All of this. So I don't know. I've said enough. I've gone on for 20 minutes, so that's all I'm going to have, because I don't even know that it's worth it at this point to worry about selling the 5 pallets of fabric I put on there. You know, I'm going to get basically, you know, another 100 grand or something, and that'll be it. And so unless I continue here, it's kind of pointless. So at this point, I'm gonna use this as my official hiatus video. Let's say that. I won't say it's the end of the series, because I don't know. But there's no plans for another episode right now. So this may be the end, so I may see you again related to this, or this may be the last thing I have, but as I promised at the end of last year, I wouldn't just vanish and not say anything. So, you know, we're going to call it goodbye for now. And again, like some people had commented, they showed up on my flight videos and said, hey, are you doing any Farming Simulator? And I saw your other thing from like 2 weeks ago, and then they laughed because I think they saw another video come up, and maybe yeah, no, I think that did pop up a day or two ago, the one. We'll leave it at that. I'm still torn. I mean, I like and enjoy playing Farming Simulator. I'm just not, like, it's died off for me with what they did with Farming Simulator 25, so I'm torn. It's like one of those, like, I really love it, and that feeling hasn't gone, but they've ruined it for me. I don't know how else to explain it. So that's where I'm at. I don't know that anybody's going to throw a like on this, but do the same sign off as always. If you've enjoyed this and haven't dropped a like, please consider that. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider that. There will be a bunch of other things on the channel. I'm not going anywhere with simming. I'm just taking a little bit of a breather from Farming Simulator, and you know, again, it is going to be a tug of war between Flight Sim and Farming Sim, because if I get as enthused about what I think I will be with Microsoft 2024, because, you know, I've got a webcam coming in tomorrow where I'll have some head tracking and stuff that I'm going to start playing with, that I think will help with that, will help with the truck simulator, theoretically would help with this. So again, maybe there will be enough intrigue there of, hey, I can do some stuff and to look around. I don't have to keep throwing my mouse around, and maybe that would change things a little bit. I don't know. But what's really going to tip the scales is if I'm like, all right, I've kind of saturated myself on Flight Sim, and I want to do a little bit of Farm Sim again. That's what'll bring me back. But if Flight Sim just keeps me completely satisfied, it may kind of be an end of an era on the channel. I don't know. But what I don't want to do is throw money at Giants for something I literally, sitting here right now, have zero interest in playing. But that's the reality. Like, so again, you did it to yourself, Giants. You're losing customers whether you like it or not with the way you're doing stuff. So I'll see you later.